Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Two very active senior citizens, Jacob, age 92, and Mary, age 89, living in the Villages, were all excited about their upcoming marriage. They go for a stroll to discuss the wedding, and on the way they pass a drugstore. Jacob suggests they go in. He addresses the man behind the counter and says, "Are you the owner?" And the pharmacist says, "Yes." Jacob says, "We're about to get married. Do you sell heart medication?" The pharmacist said yes. And Jacob says, "Well, how about medicine for circulation? What about memory problems, arthritis, Alzheimer's? What about vitamins, sleeping pills, Geridol? What about wheelchairs, walkers, and canes?" And the pharmacist says, yes, we carry all that." And Jacob says to his future bride, Mary, "Great! We'd like to use this store as our bridal registry." Morning, everybody. We're back in shape for a new week. Good morning. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. Followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. Call in, please. And a good morning to you. Zeb at the ranch. I'm Zeb Bell. I'll probably take a while to retrain myself. I've been off for 5 days. And, of course, we're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you, and serving you very well. Along with some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and start off a new week with the right kind of flair. Our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Well, good morning, sir.
You the man?
Yes, I thought I'd do it this morning.
All right, go ahead.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And right now it's time for the weather. And the weather brought to you by Roger and the crew at K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn. Really good folks that get there early in the morning to serve you at 7 o'clock with the best tools and equipment. And I'll tell you what, they've got the tractor mowers, the push mowers. They've got all the excavators. They've got jackhammers. You name it. They've got it. They're helping you. Call them 678-3122, K&R Rental. Right now, I believe Scotty's got the weather for us. Right now, I believe Scotty's got the weather for us.
We do have the weather, sir, but for some reason it's not firing off this morning. I'm going to have to figure out what's going on with it.
Well, real quick, take care of it, and I'll give another word for K&R. And while I'm doing that, get that weather ready to go, okay? All right, K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn. They bring you the weather that didn't appear this morning, but hopefully it will in a few seconds. Don't forget to call them. They offer rental tools and equipment for both long and short term, and all you need to do is get a hold of them today. Stop in at 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn, and they're on the Burley-Paul Highway. The number, 678-3122, K&R Rental, serving you. Is that weather ready to go?
Yes, sir. Give me 1 second here.
No, 1 second's up. Thank you. Now play the weather.
Well, good morning. It looks like we are going to have a hot week, as a matter of fact. Looking for a high around 98 for today. Yes, there is a heat warning in effect. make sure you stay hydrated. Make sure you've got plenty of sunscreen. It is going to be tough. Then for tonight, lows around 56. Tomorrow, sunny and 92. Tomorrow night, going to see a low around 59. Then for Wednesday, 92. And those temps are going to hold throughout the rest of the week. Be careful out there, be safe, and try to stay cool. That's your weather for 7th Duran.
And thank you, Scotty. Brought to you by our friends at K&R Rental. Right now, I want to also remind you, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Over the 4th of July weekend, you probably did a lot of spilling. Yeah, you probably spilled and got mustard all over your shirt, or ketchup, or you got grass stains trying to play with the kids and everything. Take those clothes into Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley and let them work their wonders, and then they'll be all set to come back to you looking brand spanking new. Stop in and see Kevin and Cindy today. 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. They're absolutely the best. Daryl's Cleaners in Burley, serving you. Also, real fast before we get to our first topic this morning, I want to remind everybody about our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to call, and it is, write this down, 678-0459. They get there early in the morning at 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. And it's not bragging, it's the truth. They've got all of your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. It's going to get a little bit more than toasty this week. Highs in the high 90s. You better make sure that AC's working efficiently to keep you cool. Make sure you get the air filters at Ramsey Heating and Electric in Burley. Yep, the best. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Dear friend of mine had a birthday yesterday, and we wished him a happy birthday last week, but we're wishing him that he had a good birthday yesterday, and that was Gerald Sievers in Kimberly. I know he's listening right now. Gets out of bed bright and early, about 5 minutes before the program starts. Good morning. Happy birthday, Gerald, my old buddy. Thank you very, very much. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Have you thought about what those kids are going through in Thailand? In a cave, no lights, no meals, and the only way out is to go back underwater, most of it, 2.5 miles in parts of the cave that are so narrow that they have to wedge their shoulders and turn sideways to get through some of the crevices, etc., in the rock. Now, let me ask you folks. I know a lot of you are going to be tough about that. Well, that wouldn't bother me any. Well, it would me. I absolutely don't know if I would be tough enough mentally to go 2.5 miles underwater in the murkiest of dirty water that there is, and with a diver ahead of me, a SEAL team diver ahead of me, and a SEAL team diver behind me, and no visibility, nothing. You talk about panic attacks and claustrophobia, and for the kids that are out already, that have been escorted by some courageous, heroic people, these SEALs that are taking them underwater. These kids have the mindset of somebody much, much older than what they are. What are your thoughts about this? Being, like I said, with panic attacks and claustrophobia, they have to be tough enough to take the advice and the information at 11 and 12 and 13 years of age and stay under the water. They've never dived in anything before, never had to be under the water, submersed before. They don't know anything about the scuba gear. And the process has to be very slow and always moving ahead slowly but surely. Woo! And the monsoon rains are right around the corner. They could start today. They could start this hour. and the rains could absolutely shut off the whole process. Wow. And to the people that are involved in this rescue effort, they are absolutely way and above heroes in our time. Caller, stand by. I'll be right with you. I want to remind everybody about Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland and Burley, and the other location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. The best of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, anytime, all the time. Tremendous people serving you, great personalities, and what a menu. Woo! I tell you, new additions to the menu, too. Check it out. You're going to love it. Denny's Restaurant, it's true. It's America's Diner and the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. 611 North Overland and Burley. You stop in and see those good folks today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
Good to hear your voice again.
Well, thank you.
You know, have you ever witnessed total darkness?
Yes.
And is it the strangest feeling that you'll ever have?
I didn't care for it at all. As a matter of fact, there's been a lot of things in my life. And by the way, Wheels, we've got a little feedback on this line. Ride that gain. I've had certain situations of claustrophobia and panic attacks and other things in my life with some of the accidents that have occurred in my life, and I didn't like it. But total darkness, and really not knowing where you are or what's going on is one of the most disconcerting things I've ever had to have.
Well, I don't really bringing religion into this, but when Christ was crucified, they had total darkness. And can you imagine? Nowhere was there any light.
Well, absolutely. But what these kids are going through, if you're making a reference to lead into this, in the murky waters, and never having scuba gear on before, and having adults tell them what to do and how to breathe through the apparatus, etc., you got to give these kids a lot of credit because, man, they are mentally tough.
I would say so. 2.5 miles inside that cave. We here in the United States, we can't imagine 2.5 miles.
You know, and there's a question here. Again, Wheels, there's feedback on the line, please. There's a question here about why did they get in this cave that far back and led by one adult, their coach, in the first place? I mean, at the first sign of rain and or moisture rising, I think I'd have been galloping for the exit, wouldn't you?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't go that far into any cave.
Bingo.
Period.
Bingo. I agree with that.
I hate snakes, and they like caves, and so therefore they can go in the caves and I'll stay outside.
You know, and there's been a lot of people say, well, Zeb, have you been up to the ice caves at Shoshone? And then when I lived back in Wisconsin, they had a series of caves, worldwide famous, called the Cave of the Mounds, etc. And we took a field trip. School field trip there one day, and I was the only one that said to the teacher, there ain't no way that you and 73 other teachers can drag me in that hole.
Well, I better run along, but before I do, I want to commend these people that are running this effort, especially those divers and that are going in there, because they are truly risking their life.
Oh, it is. It is a very serious.
They're expected to come down real fast.
Absolutely. Keith, have a wonderful day, and thank you always for you breaking the ice this morning and calling in. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You bet.
All right. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I can't even begin to think or imagine being on a narrow ledge or a precipice in that cave, and all of a sudden up pops these scuba divers, these Navy SEAL scuba divers, and they're saying, okay, guys, here's what we're going to do, and we're going to have you one behind me and then a Navy SEAL behind you, and we're going to swim underwater way to the entrance. I would have a hard time with that. give me a call. Don't forget Pomerelle Place at 1301 Bennett Street in Burley. Oh, my goodness, they're having a health fair. It's coming up on July 18th from 8 to noon. They're going to have a lot of vendors, a lot of prizes. Holly says you better all come. You better all come. They're going to have Cash Regional over there doing the blood draws. They're going to have special prizes provided by a lot of merchants. You better be there at Pomerelle Place, a place for senior living, and that, of course, is at 1301 Bennett Street in Burley. Number to call, Holly and the rest of the staff, is 677-8212. That number again, 677-8212. Pomerelle Place. Yep, a place for senior living. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Don't forget, too, Dino Septic Service. Oh, boy, they do the job that you and I don't want to do. No, I don't want to be out there pumping a septic tank, and they take care of all that. They septic tanks and drain fields installed. They've got a backhoe service. They have septic inspections, liquid waste removal. I mean, these people are fast, fair, and friendly. They do the job for you. Call them at 436-6526 or in Burley, 678-1638 with that big truck that says smells cargo on the way. Dino's Septic Service, absolutely the best. Caller, thank you. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. That was my question, too. I guess I've missed the details about why they even happened to be that far in and what the object was, if they were just exploring caves or they got in by a different direction that and then that was closed off. But I can only imagine, because years ago when I was much younger and very stupid, I would go into a lot of the old mines in Nevada and here in Idaho, places where sometimes you had to just get down on your belly and crawl through to get into a big room and have a light go out on you, and the blackness. You don't know if you're up or down, sideways, or what you are, but it's not only very foolish of me, but it certainly did teach me something.
Well, wait a minute. See, there's an education that you're talking about, Adrian, that I never received. Because, number one, I will not crawl on my chubby, fat little belly in a real dirty hole in maybe 18-inch clearance in a cave and call that fun. I will stay outside, eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and wait for your return.
Well, and see, mine wasn't really fun. It was a business, a quote, unquote, but still plain stupid.
Oh, my goodness. You've got far more nerve than I have. God bless you for your call. Thank you so much.
That was just it. God bless me.
He did. He did. Thank you. Oh, I can't do that. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Zeb. This is a good news guy. Incidentally, I've been in total darkness for 45 years, but I wasn't in a cave.
I understand.
Anyway, we're going to have meatloaf today and lots of good vegetables and apple crisp, I think, for dessert. Tomorrow's a pork loin roast and all the trimmings. On Wednesday, we're having a birthday and anniversary dinner. I want to invite any and everybody out there. You don't have to be a senior to come out and enjoy a place where it's cool and have a good lunch. Best in town.
Joe, let me ask you something, and you've been a good friend for years and years, and I don't think you're going to be offended by this question. But you mentioned that you have been in total darkness for 45 years as a blind man that has overcome all obstacles, and I have the utmost respect for you. But when you take kids that are 11 and 12 and 13 and all of a sudden subject them to total darkness and murky waters, that has got to be one of the most horrific experiences anyone could ever go through.
I would totally agree with that. I don't know how they stand it. And 2.5 miles, get back out through water. Unbelievable.
Absolutely. Joe, God bless you, and thank you for calling on behalf of the Senior Junction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Senior Junction on South Overland.
Absolutely.
We'll be looking for you.
Thanks, Joe. That man has overcome all the obstacles. He is an amazing man. I'm proud to call him my friend for all these years. But I just honestly, put yourselves in the place of the kids that are still in the cave, still down there with their 25-year-old coach. Caller, just a minute. I'll be right there, I promise. I want to remind everybody about Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Oh, my. If you've got aches and pains, boy, do I. I'm going to schedule myself to go back over there and get to work a little bit. They've got to help me on my knee. I want to tell you that Nick Greenwell and the rest of the folks over there, they know all the exercises. They know, of course, what's going to help you. So please schedule an appointment today at 678-1191. That number again, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. And they've got, like I said, the only hydrotherapy pool of its existence in this area. Oh, it does help. Please call them. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 678-1191. Caller, thank you. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, I thought I heard originally that they were forced into the caves as refuge from the water. I'm not sure why they were in that area, whether they were traveling or what happened. But, you know, it just makes you so amazed at the resources and what the human mind and body can call upon when it has to. And you have so much respect. I have a lot of respect for the coach and the boys, and I am definitely praying that those rains will hold off. They had to wait for some of the rains to stop, as I remember, before they could begin the rescue.
Right.
And they're praying that they hold off. And oh, I tell you, I just pray that they can hold off till they get all of them. The bravery of the SEALs and the bravery of the boys and the coach, and can you imagine the bravery of the parents?
Well, Linda, one thing that I have a question on, and I really am questioning the response of going deeper and deeper and deeper into a cave. Even if it is raining cats and dogs and butterflies, this old fat cowboy is going to stay near the mouth of that cave, and if not, I'm going to walk as fast as my little fat crutches can take me to some higher ground. I'm not going to go further into a cave that's filling up with water.
I don't think they had another way out once they got in there, but I really don't know exactly what the whole story is. Maybe I ought to go look and see if I can find something more on it.
Well, the thing I'm really concerned about is I heard a commentator say this morning at 4:30, and I believe he is accurate in his assessment of this case, that they're praying, naturally we're all praying for the young men and the coach to get out of there. But I think that, like the commentator said this morning, there are going to be a lot of questions and a lot of, why did you do this? Why did you take the boys further into the cave? Questions to that coach, because to me they went the wrong way to get themselves even deeper in trouble.
I know. It is an odd story, and I've heard little blurbs here and there, which is what some of our news is. But I don't know. But we'll see how it all turns out.
Well, I hope and pray for the best.
What a mess.
And
I do too.
Thank you for your call. God bless you and have a good day.
You too.
Thank you. Nice lady right there. Hey, Wheels, could we please have this good word for the Silver State Stampede? And then when I come back, we're going to give away some cookies.
PRCA Rodeo Action thunders into Elko, July 13th, 14th, and 15th at the Elko County Fairgrounds. 3 big days for the 2018 Silver State Stampede. Nevada's oldest rodeo is family entertainment at its finest. This PRCA rodeo brings you the thrill of pro riders going head-to-head in one of the toughest sports in the world. Action kicks off Friday, July 13th with mutton busting, a delicious tri-tip dinner, the Calcutta, Old West bronc riding, PRCA rodeo action, the world-famous Ring of Fear, and dancing to the Jeff Palmer Band. Gates open on Friday and Saturday at 4 with mutton busting starting at 6 and rodeo action starting at 7. And on Sunday, gates open at noon with mutton busting at 1 and the rodeo action auction starting at 2. Tickets on sale now at the Boot Barn and the Elko Chamber office. Rodeo action at its finest, with the 2018 Silver State Stampede, July 13th, 14th, and 15th at the Elko County Fairgrounds. For more information, contact silverstatestampede.com.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Right now, we're going to give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street on the square in Rupert. Oh, what a bakery. Oh, what a restaurant. Oh, good eating, I'll tell you what. And every Monday, we give away a dozen cookies. First-time winners only, please. I've got an easy question this morning. All you have to do is call 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587 if you know the answer to this. And I'm going to give you a chance to name more than one or two, okay? Name 2 old Western TV stars that wore 2 guns. They had double holsters. Name 2 old Western TV stars that wore 2 pistols when they were on their TV fame of getting all the bad guys. Name 2 of them. There's more than 2, but I want any two. And give me a call right now, quickly, at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Name 2 old Western TV stars that wore 2 pistols. Double gun rig, huh? Give me a call quickly. I want to hear your answer. And I'll give you a dozen cookies. Woo, good cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox. Don't forget, on Tuesdays at 9:46, Stoats Equipment, your John Deere dealer at 119 Overland and Burley, has the Ag Minutes, and they make your life easier. We talk about all the ag events coming up. We talk about the people involved in agriculture with Vic. I'll tell you what, nice folks at Stoats Equipment, your John Deere dealer. Quickly, give me a call. What? Nobody can come up with that answer? Nobody wants a dozen delicious cookies at Sophie's? What's the matter with you? Hurry, give me a call. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Hopalong Cassidy and Roy Rogers.
You're right, and you really surprised me when you said that, because most people that I talked to and asked that question to before I got on the air this morning, they said another name, but you are 100% right. It was Hopalong Cassidy and Roy Rogers. Can you think of another one that's very, very obvious?
Gene Autry.
No, he did not. Did you know that?
No, I always thought he was a 2-gun.
Nope, he had a single Colt 44, just one. But think of one other man personally. You've won the contest, and I just want you to think of one other TV star.
Oh, Lordy.
No, that's not right. I'll give you a little clue. His partner would always say, yes, Kemosabe.
Lone Ranger.
There you go. Have a great day, my friend. And your name is?
Hey.
Pardon me, say it again.
Ray, R-A-Y.
Yes, and the last name?
Stockton.
Ray Stockton, please get a hold of our friends over at Sophie's. Tell them you won the cookies, and they'll make them up for you, okay?
Hey, thanks a million.
All right. God bless you, man. Thanks. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Love to hear from you. Did you know what the New York Times said in an op-ed this weekend? I am not making this up. Every time you think maybe, like a bad case of the flu, Hillary will go away, they came out with an op-ed that said Hillary is going to run again for president in 2020. She is behind the scenes developing a war chest of money and creating a niche, she thinks, where the Democratic Party will have to favor her as a possible nominee. So, I guess the Wicked Witch didn't put her broom away. We might be stuck with her again. What are your thoughts about Hillary just not going away? Please, Hillary, just go away. And tonight at 9 p.m., President Trump will name the Supreme Court nominee during the Hannity TV talk show at approximately 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and there are 4 finalists. One is a lovely lady, Judge Barrett, and the others, Hardiman, Kethledge, and Kavanaugh. And from the people I've talked to back in Washington, D.C. this morning before the program, Kethledge, Judge Kethledge, no, I want to take that back. I made a mistake when I underlined the wrong one. Judge Kavanaugh is the one that most of the Washington, D.C. insiders think will get the nod. So put that down and we'll see if it's right tomorrow morning. Judge Kavanaugh, they think, will be the pick. We'll wait and see. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental, sales, service, and parts at 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and in Nampa. I'm telling you what, old Juan and the crew at the Burley location, they are ready to help you with all the Bobcat excavators. As a matter of fact, I saw one of their pickups going by with a Bobcat the other day, and I waved. There they go. Another happy customer. And they've got all the new and used excavators for sale or rent. All the shapes and sizes. Right there where they have the best of equipment rentals, retail equipment sales, Barry Equipment and Rental. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and up in Nampa. Your turn, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And by the way, talking about this Supreme Court nominee, the left, the Democrats, they have already set their hair on fire. Oh, woe is us. Oh, woe is us. They're going nuts. And the person hasn't even been named yet. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. I sincerely don't think that the Democrats are going to get behind her. They want somebody to be president so bad, they're not going to let somebody who has obviously shown that she can't get it. Are they going to put money into her again? It's like a dead horse at the racetrack.
No, Chris, I totally agree with you. I mean, I'm on your side. I don't think that even though I despise the head of the Democratic Party, Tom Perez, and the others, I don't think that they are that dumb, that gullible, and that naive that they would ever support her again.
They can't afford to.
No. I agree.
And the other thing is, how old is she now? And she doesn't have very good health.
No, she...
And I think she's kind of in my age group. Believe me, I wouldn't want to start running the United States of America. I can hardly do our farm, and that's with a teammate that's pretty good at it.
Well, I think
this is ridiculous.
Well, I think that one thing that needs to be discussed is I don't like to equate ability with age. And I mean that when I say that. I'm not trying to be funny or humorous whatsoever. I think that there are a lot of people that, despite age, whether it's 70, 75, 80, they are extremely sharp and they could do the job. But you mentioned some of the frailties that Hillary has. She is not well. There's been a lot of reports about some very serious health problems. And quite frankly, she brings so much baggage with possible legal harangues and everything else. I can't imagine why anybody in their right mind, underline that, would even consider letting her be a nominee.
Well, and you and I and probably countless other people know this, and yet I think that the Democratic Party knows it too. And they've put up with her long enough, and I'm sure they're beating the bushes for a fresh face.
To put up with her long enough. Now, that's an interesting choice of words. I think they realized after the last presidential campaign that Hillary was inept. Hillary's people were not doing the job because they weren't smart enough and they weren't organized. The Clinton campaign machine was dead and over and rusted, and I don't think there's enough 3-in-1 oil to get it refurbished. Do you?
No. And the sad thing is, before this is all over, I think Hillary would like to be remembered as a pioneer and doing some amazing things. But if they have to put up with her for another try at the presidency, they're probably going to hang her out to dry. Well, because it's just not. I mean, I'm not a Democrat, and I don't care if she does run and loses. But the other thing is, she's just putting such a bad face on the party, I think.
Well, let me ask you a question. I've got to ask you a question right here before we go any further, because I'm a little bit worried about a scenario that's playing out here in the state of Idaho for the governor's election in the state of Idaho, and that is with Brad Little on the GOP side against a lady on the Democratic side, Paulette Jordan. Now, my fears are this, and you as a woman can dispel my fears, tell me I'm all wrong and wet and everything else. Paulette Jordan's only 38 years of age. Paulette Jordan is a Native American. Paulette Jordan is going to be playing that to the hilt and try to be the first Native American governor of a U.S. state, and she's going to get all this left money. She's going to get all the left support, and I'm very worried that a scenario comparable to Hillary Clinton is going to play out right here in November for our governor election. What are your thoughts?
I think you're right. And Paulette, whatever her name is, she will accuse the people of Idaho who don't vote for her as being racially,
that's right,
prejudiced.
Yep.
And I'm afraid that, golly, and she's the only one that the Democrats are putting up. They're not making putting somebody up that has to go through the primary.
I'm afraid that she is going to be a formidable opponent to Brad Little, and I'm very afraid with her leftist views on Medicaid, and she made a comment that my goal is to create one Idaho. I don't know how she plans to do that or what the verbiage or the thoughts are, but I'm very, very concerned when she was asked about Medicaid, she was asked about school funding, etc. She really didn't have any concrete answers. She's just running like the left does on emotion.
Well, I think that Idaho voters are pretty smart. Sometimes not, but I think that we're pretty smart. And if she's not coming out saying what she knows about these those two issues that you already said, Idahoans want to know what she's going to do. And I think maybe the Democrats will throw a lot of money at her, and I don't know.
Yeah.
But we're smart.
Chris, God bless you, and this is one of the very first calls that you've ever made to me on the air where we didn't have that grandfather clock kind of bong, bong in the background.
Can you hear it right now?
No, I can't.
Okay, well, it just did its thing.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I love that lady. Hey, it's time for our weather forecast, and it's brought to you by our friends at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Oh, yes, it is. Dr. Pickup and Dr. Mitchell there to serve you with all your hearing health. Yes, you can trust your hearing health to these great folks, and I urge you to call and make an appointment. They are located right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room, and the number to call, 312-0957. 312-0957. You call today. Right now, here's old Scotty with the weather.
Good morning. It is time now for your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron. It is going to be hot today. As a matter of fact, there is an excessive heat warning out. Be sure you stay hydrated and plenty of sunscreen. Today it's going to be high of 98. Then for tonight, maybe a chance of thunderstorms, expecting a low of 65. For Tuesday, mostly sunny, a high of 92. Clear for Tuesday night, a low of 57. Then Wednesday, sunny and 91. Thursday, sunny and 93. Going to heat up towards the end of the week as well. Once again, stay hydrated and stay safe. It's going to be a hot one. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Scotty Cameron.
Great job, Scott. Appreciate it, old buddy. And don't forget, brought to you by our friends at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. They help me. They can help you. Absolutely call for an appointment today. Mount Harrison Audiology, 312-0957. Locally owned hearing health care practice in Southern Idaho that absolutely can help you. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Holy buckets, is there going to be a lot of fun this Friday and Saturday over at Oakley. Oh, my goodness. Oakley Pioneer Days kicks off with the world-famous bump and rub four-cylinder car race. Why, if they had an international airport up at Oakley, it'd be jammed with private jets coming in from Italy and Taiwan, all over the place, for the bump and rub four-cylinder car race. Friday night, it's going to start with the Calcutta at 6 p.m., then racing at 7. Saturday night, racing at 6 p.m. Ooh, this gets wild and woolly. Whoa. There really aren't too many rules that are followed. It's going to be a lot of fun. Bump and rub, four-cylinder car race, Oakley Pioneer Days. And some of the great merchants over at Oakley that urge you to come on over and support the great event include Clark's for Shopping. Yes, at 100 East Main in Oakley, with the famous breakfast sausage from Grandma's secret recipe and bulk patties or links. Oh, it's good. Thank you, Clark's for Shopping. And Oakley Valley Stone at 204 West Main Street in Oakley, and they wish the people a very happy 131-year anniversary of Oakley Pioneer Days. And for all your landscaping stone and boulders and or stones for fireplace, rocks for the headstone, it's all of this and so much more at Oakley Valley Stone. And Searles, 120 North Center Street in Oakley. My goodness, they open early in the morning at 6 a.m. Locally grown beef, best burgers and fries, and specialty buns baked fresh every day at Searles at 120 North Center in Oakley. Going to be a lot of fun up at Oakley Pioneer Days starting this Friday and Saturday. Holy mackerel. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Love to talk to you. Please give me a jingle. Let's see what else have we got here. In the news, get rid of race preference for admission to colleges and go back to merit. Merit-based education on your grades and nobody caring about, oh, well, we've got to let in a certain number of these people, or we have to give preference to a certain number of those people. That's a garbage attitude that really was perpetrated and highlighted through the Obama administration. Get rid of it and go back to merit. Who cares what color of skin they are? Let's start looking at the education of people that really have put forth the best to create an opportunity of education. And I was really interested when I heard that Donald Trump was going to try to kind of reverse, if you will, the Obama administration on this. And this morning, early this morning, niece of Martin Luther King, Dr. Alveda King, was on television, and she said, quote, "It's about time. It's about time to go back to merit-based admission to colleges and universities." Hear, hear for Alveda King. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. The Democratic Party has become the Trojan horse of politics. I mean, that party is so sinister. No matter what Donald Trump tries to do to improve things, in this country, he's got a battle on his hands.
Oh, my.
Now, as far as this education thing goes, you're absolutely right about having qualified people going to our education systems, because you get some of these unqualified people, and they're knocking out people who could make great professors, engineers, and everything else.
Yeah, but Tony, it's not just education, and there's other areas of life that need to be taken away from the liberal left. Here's what I mean. You know as well as I do that the Rooney Rule in the NFL said that, if you're a team that's looking for a new coach, you have to give preference, or you have to at least show you gave preference to someone of color to possibly take that job. Taking away the merits of the best man or woman for the job, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. It's in the sports world, it's in the business world with all this great campaign for diversity of numbers. It's ridiculous. Let's go back and hire the best doggone people for the judge, and I don't care if they're polka dot.
Well, we've got places down here that I go to, and I won't go to anymore, because we've got people who have been hired, and I guess they have to hire them, and they're not qualified for the job. So you go in there, and you have a question on the particular item, and they'll give you some kind of halfway answer with no conclusion. And I made up my mind. There were several stores down here that I'll never go back to because of what they've hired.
Yeah. You know, I maintain that the people that I hire to work for me are going to be the most qualified. They are going to be the ones with the best personality. They are going to be the person that is going to represent my business. I'll make the decision who's going to have that job. It's certainly not going to be ranked on diversity or skin color.
Well, we've got people going to CSI, and I know this for a fact, that are not qualified to go to college. But here, some poor guy who's qualified and got the brains to become something great doesn't stand a chance. And you're right. You're absolutely right.
They had the same problem just recently. It was announced with the air traffic controllers in this United States, and the imbeciles that set up a program of hiring practices for diversity instead of quality. It's going to be very dangerous to fly the friendly skies.
Oh, absolutely. I spent 4 years in the Air Force, and I've been around, did a lot of flying when I was in there. And I know all about those traffic controllers. That is a demanding job.
Absolutely. Tony, it's always good to hear from you. God bless you and Mary. Thank you for your call.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right, God bless. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hello. Good morning. How are you?
I'm peachy fine. Thank you. Go ahead.
I just wanted to reiterate a lot of what Trump has almost made a comedy routine out of, and that's Elizabeth Warren and her name, Pocahontas. I believe that because of her high cheekbones, her mother implied that she was of Indian descendants, and which she used to establish a job at Harvard as a professor. She wouldn't have received that position were she not among that of Indian descent. I just wanted to kind of remind you and your viewers of the fraud that she is.
You know, and you brought up some very interesting words right there. The implied possibility of being related to Native Americans, implied but not fact. And that's what I'm criticizing this morning on the left and the Democrats, the implications of certain things that are not bona fide fact. And it seems like the left and the Democrats play that card frequently.
They're not qualified, but it is a fraud, and they're eliminating potentially other very qualified people. And just a little side point. I believe Donald Trump will have a career at Caesar's Palace as a maybe the next Don Rickles. I mean, that 1,000 points of light. I don't know how you could make fun of that, but it was funny. The Elizabeth Warren. I mean, the guy's got a great routine. Anyways, thank you for your time this morning.
No, thank you, sir. And call back. I enjoyed the conversation. You did very well. Thank you very much. That's an interesting concept to think that maybe in the future Donald Trump might get on the stage as a potential Don Rickles. I never thought of that one. Don't forget, right now I'd like to also acknowledge our number one sponsor, our sponsor that has really helped us through thick and thin, and that's our Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. Absolutely all 7 locations serving you. If you're going on a road trip, make sure you have the best of tires, and they do have the best of tires for your car, pickup, SUV, horse trailer, boat trailer, camping trailer, everything. And I want to highlight this morning that one of the car tires called the Eclipse tire, all-season tread, advanced noise reduction, is on sale. Check that out today at any one of the 7 Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with the best in brake service and front-end alignments and shocks and struts and batteries. Service reigns supreme, absolutely, with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. The best. That's a fact. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Thank you. Got to run to the news. And me run, yeah. And we'll be back in about 7 minutes with our next guest, Richard Manning. I'm looking forward to our conversation this morning. Have a great morning. I'll be back in about 7 minutes. Okay, here we go. I'm trying to be really enthusiastic this morning and get my energy level way up there, but I'll tell you, after 5 days off, it's a little tough. Morning, everybody. Zeb at the Ranch, and, of course, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. If you're getting ready to go on a road trip, stop into any one of the 7 locations. They can help you for safer driving. Absolutely. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, wheels over at the station. It's time to hear a good word for Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Those 4 words really mean a lot. Always at your disposal. It's true. We've been on the route service with those folks for a long time, and they are so dependable to be there to pick up your garbage. It's gone. It's out of there. Call them today and talk about getting on the route service. 734-6969. Western Waste Services. Yep, it's true. Always at your disposal. Want to remind you, too, about our friends at Ark Animal Hospital. Oh, whether you got a little bitty kitty cat or a great big bunch of roping horses or steers, they can help you. Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street, right near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. And Dr. Bill and Dr. Jordan and the rest of the staff absolutely can help you. So please don't forget a mixed animal practice where they take care of all your pets and livestock. Keep them healthy. Ark Animal Hospital. They do have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Call them at 678-1177. And don't forget, too, before I go to my guest, I want to remind everybody about Hanson Mortuary with our dear friend Joel Heward, his family, and his staff serving you at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to write down, number to remember, 436-5636. When there's the passing of a loved one, they are there to serve you always with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. And don't forget, again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert with Joel Heward, and Joel also serving you at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. One of the most dependable and one of the most knowledgeable guests that I have on this program on a frequent basis is this next man. He's president of Americans for Limited Government. I've got a lot of respect for him. Good morning, Richard Manning. How are you?
How are you? I hope you guys had a great 5 days off.
I had a wonderful 5 days off, and I was going to ask you, did you have any outstanding memories from Independence Day 2018?
Well, actually, I did. I got a unique opportunity. I was able to watch the fireworks in Washington, D.C., the national fireworks, from the rooftop of the Department of Interior building.
Ooh.
And it was spectacular. We're 8 stories in the air. And, the Department of Interior actually pays for the fireworks. And so where they shoot them off is literally right in front of the building over the Potomac River. And so being on that building and having the fireworks being shot off right in front of us, it was almost as if the display had been created just for us. My wife and I had a phenomenal time. We got to meet Secretary Zinke in the process, and it was, all in all, it was a great evening.
Let me ask you this. When you celebrated Independence Day this year at that location, did you have a chance to visit with others and maybe talk about the American spirit, the American patriotic attitude? I'm going to be honest with you, Richard. I'm really afraid that it's on the wane. Can we bring it back and restore the values of America again?
Well, I think we can. I will tell you, in that environment, I was basically, I was inside the swamp, and the people were a lot of people who were Trump administration officials and the like were there. So it wasn't your normal gathering. But I will tell you this: I live outside the Beltway, and I get the opportunity to, I go to church. I do all the normal things that people do. I think people should do anyway. And yes, I believe there is a way that American spirit can be restored. I think that we're seeing some of that. When you look at, let me give you a practical example. When you look at the unemployment numbers that came out on Friday, one of the things that's occurring is over the past 15, 16, 17 months, we're seeing people reenter the workforce. We're seeing people ages 16 to 64 reenter the workforce. And I'm doing the numbers right now in my shop in terms of what it was from last month. But prior to last month, there's about 860,000 people, 16 to 64, who their labor participation rate for that age group had remained the same as when President Obama left office. They would not have been in the workforce. So we're seeing a large number of people reentering the workforce because there's hope. We're seeing people begin to, and it's hard to believe in the American dream if you've been shut out.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe in the American dream if there's no dream for you. And we're seeing renewed hope in the American dream. We're seeing the lowest unemployment rate for Hispanics since recorded. We're seeing lower economic or unemployment rates for African Americans. We're seeing these places like Detroit beginning to recover. And so I think it's not going to be based upon a rah-rah speech. We're not going to get a pep talk in the bottom of the ninth inning and suddenly we're going to come back and win. I think this is about a renewal of the belief in the system will work. And as people who have been indoctrinated through our schools that socialism is the right way to go, begin to experience a capitalist system that works. I think that's the most effective argument for the American way is when the American dream is coming true all around you. And that's where the hope springs from, and I think I think we're seeing that occur across the country. We've got almost 400,000 new manufacturing jobs. Construction jobs are way up. Mining jobs are way up. We've got so a lot of the jobs where they actually pay real money and where you're not just a burger flipper with no hope, jobs that are career jobs are reemerging in our economy. And as a result, I think, you're going to see hope reemerging because people are going to see others having hope, and that spirit is kind of drives us all up. And you also see it, by the way, in the consumer confidence numbers, which are off the charts.
Richard, I don't mean to throw any cold water on what you said, because I hope and pray everything you said comes to fruition. But my feeling is that the more we open the floodgates, whether legally or illegally, on immigration, the more that, to use your words, the dream for various people, that dream is going to be squashed, because there's so many people coming in and will be competing for all the jobs available, or the lower place jobs, if you will be going to the immigrants, whether illegal or illegal. And right now, I think we need to put a stop, close the gates, and say America first, its citizens first, and then open it up when the time arises for more occupations and more chances of success. Do you think I'm right or wrong? I probably didn't phrase it correctly, but those are my thoughts.
No, I think you phrased it fine. I think where I'm coming from on this is that we have our first and foremost problem is the fact that the legal immigration system is broken. We have millions of people who jump to the head of the line. We have hundreds of thousands of people, or tens of thousands anyway, coming across the border on a monthly basis, jumping ahead of the line. And the irony to that is, there used to be a policy. The policy of the United States, up until very recently, was unless you were a refugee from Cuba, everybody else that came across our border without proper documentation, you were sent back to where you came from. Mm-hmm. And we had a special deal with Cuba because of Castro. That if somebody got the whole thing a Cuban wanted to do was be able to get their foot on shore. If they could touch the beach in Miami, they won. If they didn't touch the beach, if they caught them on a raft just off the beach, they were sent back to Cuba. So we had one foot on the shore, and they were granted refugee status deal with Cuba. Now Obama reversed that with Cuba, but apparently opened the door on the other end of it, and the courts opened the door on the other end of it, where we have a thing. Now, if you happen to have a kid, it doesn't have to be your kid. Just show up with a kid, and you suddenly you win the lottery ticket simply by stepping foot on our soil, and that's the problem. That has to be changed.
Absolutely.
We can address the legal immigration system and move it up or down based upon the labor needs of the country, based upon. Do you want unskilled? You want people who pick fruits and vegetables? Do you want people who we need high tech help, and people who are scientists and the like? We can adjust that up and down with a legal immigration system. The problem is the illegal immigration system. The has overflooded the legal immigration system, and they are almost unrecognizable from one another now.
Absolutely. Richard, I know that you are probably looking at your wristwatch and the clock on the wall and counting the hours till tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, when President Trump will name the nominee for the Supreme Court. It's down to 4 people. What are your thoughts? Who of those 4 do you think will become the pick?
Well, my question for you is, who do you think the 4th is? I've got Amy Barrett, Brett Kavanaugh, and Raymond Ketledge as being 3 that were pretty much bandied about as being the acknowledged 3 front runners. Then you've got Senator Mike Lee, who's been mentioned a little bit, and then there's another guy who has suddenly bubbled up in terms of the talk here, and a guy named Hardiman.
That's the one.
I don't know much about.
Yeah, that's the one.
But if you take Hardiman out of the equation, if you took the 4 of Mike Lee, Barrett, Kavanaugh, and Ketledge, if I were going down to the racetrack and I were putting money on one of these horses, I would bet the field. I would bet that, because you get better odds. But each one of the 3 main ones that have been discussed have some challenges. Amy Barrett's challenge is she's absolutely the person I personally would pick. She's brilliant. She's a extraordinarily amazing mind. She's a mother of 6 or 7 children. She is a Roman Catholic who actually practices. And it is and I don't care about Roman Catholic per se, but she's a person. The reason Roman Catholic comes into play is because the left has attacked her for being Roman Catholic.
That's right. That's right.
And the thing that, beyond being the right jurist, politically, Amy Barrett is the best political choice, because most of the swing states in the Midwest have heavy Roman Catholic populations. The presidency has been decided by how the Roman Catholic vote has gone. Virtually every presidency for the last 50 years. So it's a highly influential constituency because of where they exist on the map, by and large. And as a result, you have attacking Amy Barrett for being Roman Catholic will destroy the Democratic presidential hopes for a decade. So that would be, so to me, just as a political guy, Amy Barrett's the person I'd pick. She's the other two, Brett Kavanaugh. He's kind of this. He would be George W. Bush would pick Brett Kavanaugh. Okay, he's kind of a down the middle of the road kind of pick. Has got a Washington D.C. insider. Has got decisions on a lot of cases that matter in terms of Washington D.C. Circuit Court, and is very comfortable in the swamp crowd. He also testified in 2005, 2006, right in that area, I don't remember the year, that Roe v. Wade was settled law, and so he's a safe choice because a lot of the Murkowskis, Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, both Republicans but both very pro-choice, would probably be able to vote for Brett Kavanaugh, and he'd be confirmable. Ray Kethledge is the third person who was on the short list. He's done a lot of work on immigration, and some of his cases have caused a lot of consternation about where he comes down on immigration. And for those of us who have been paying attention to the courts, immigration has become a major issue that the Supreme Court is going to have to confront. And and Kethledge's decisions on some of the cases that have been before him cause one to wonder if he's an open borders kind of guy. So he's gotten dinged up. He was on Friday. Kethledge was the guy who everybody thought would win this contest. Now I think it's up in the air, and any of the three can be picked. But that's why I'm choosing the field, because when any of the three can be picked, it generally means that there's been a decision made not to pick each one of them.
Right.
And so then they look outside, and when a new name starts popping up very late in the game, I think that's the person who ends up being picked. And
I agree with your
Hardiman.
I agree with your pick of Judge Barrett, and I think that secondarily I would go with Kavanaugh. But some of the people that I've talked to back in Washington early this morning before I went on the air, they were saying that they think also that Judge Barrett will be picked primarily as an offsetting fixture and personality on the Supreme Court to Ruth Bader Ginsburg until she retires. It will add a freshness and a new scope and a new attitude. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree 100%. I'm not really somebody who's in favor of picking somebody because of their sex, but in this instance, I think that she is the antithesis of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and she would be a breath of fresh air on the court.
Right.
There are three women justices on the court. They're all very liberal. Ruth Bader Ginsburg doesn't believe the U.S. Constitution should be followed. Should be the guiding document. She's more of a look at international law kind of person, and so Amy Barrett would be a fantastic offset to her. And quite honestly, if you're ever going to touch the abortion issue or issues like that, it's certainly better to have a thoughtful woman writing the response, writing the decision, than having a 5-4 decision with a bunch of men on it.
Absolutely.
So it's against 3 women.
Absolutely.
It becomes very politically very difficult to do because the court is a political body. So I think that Amy Barrett makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons, and I'm hoping the president will pick her. But once again, no matter who he picks, they're going to be better than Kennedy.
Yeah.
Kennedy was good. The person there, anybody he picks, will be at least very good. And so we'll be in and it's going to be a war no matter who he picks.
Yeah.
I think Ted Cruz said that the president could pick Moses and people would be jumping up and down and calling him a murderer. So it's all in all, we've got all 3 of the people who are on the top of the list are highly qualified and very and have a good record of jurisprudence. And I think we'd be well served by any of the 3. My guts, politically and philosophically, I think Amy Barrett's the right pick.
Absolutely. Real quick, I've only got about 2 minutes left, and I did want you to comment this morning about a New York Times op-ed piece that said, yes, Hillary is going to run again in 2020, and I dropped the paper when I read that. What are your thoughts?
From the New York Times words to pages to God's ear. Hillary for president forever. She is the most disruptive influence the Democratic Party has. She is, I think she's lost her marbles, truthfully. And she is, and yet the Democratic Party can't get over her. So for me, it's Hillary wants to stay on the national stage. Let her stay because the Democrats will not be able to clean the stain of her corruption off of them as long as she's still hanging around. And so, yep, I'm sign me up. I'm Hillary 2020, okay. 2024, and 2028. As long as she never gets to be president.
There you go. President of the Americans for Limited Government, and really one of my very favorite guests, Richard Manning. God bless you, man. Have a great week. Talk to you next Monday. Thank you for your insight.
Thank you, Zeb. Take care.
All right, buddy. Richard Manning, I just really enjoy his kind of a breakdown of politics, and I enjoy having him on the air. Thank you very much. Hey, my old buddy Wheels over at the main studio, could I please have this good word for the Silver State Stampede?
PRCA Rodeo Action thunders into Elko, July 13th, 14th, and 15th at the Elko County Fairgrounds. 3 big days for the 2018 Silver State Stampede. Nevada's oldest rodeo is family entertainment at its finest. This PRCA rodeo brings you the thrill of pro riders going head-to-head in one of the toughest sports in the world. Action kicks off Friday, July 13th with mutton busting, a delicious tri-tip dinner, the Calcutta, Old West bronc riding, PRCA rodeo action, the world-famous Ring of Fear, and dancing to the Jeff Palmer Band. Gates open on Friday and Saturday at 4 with mutton busting starting at 6 and rodeo action starting at 7. And on Sunday, gates open at noon with mutton busting at 1 and the rodeo action starting at 2. Tickets on sale now at the Boot Barn and the Elko Chamber Office. Rodeo action at its finest. With the 2018 Silver State Stampede, July 13th, 14th, and 15th at the Elko County Fairgrounds. For more information, contact SilverStateStampede.com.
Thank you very much, and don't you forget on Thursdays, we go fishing right here on the radio. Thanks to our friends at Sportsman's Warehouse at 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls, Reese and the whole crew. Well, what we did is we set it up about a month ago to where Josh, the main fishing expert at Sportsman's Warehouse, he's going to be out on a river someplace or at a lake or a stream, wherever, and telling us how he's catching the big ones and what tackle and everything else. Very interesting. On Thursdays at 10:30, the Old Fishing Hole, brought to you by Sportsman's Warehouse, 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls. Stop in for the best of all your fishing and hunting and camping and knives and food and guns and ammo and clothing. Wow, the list goes on at Sportsman's Warehouse in Twin Falls. Really good, folks. In just a few minutes, we're going to have another one of my favorite guests on the program, James Herson from Hollywood, and he's an attorney and really understands all that's going on in Hollywood, and we're going to talk to him about that in just a few moments. Don't forget our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Hello, Jeff. Hello, the rest of the staff at 459 Overland and Burley. My goodness, all this month of July, they're going to have the red, white, and blue sale. Ooh, on sale. Floor coverings in stock, carpeting in stock, luxury vinyl flooring, love seats in stock, bedroom groups in stock, all on sale this whole month for the red, white, and blue sale at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. You better stop in and see them today at 459 Overland in Burley. Really, really good people serving you. And I want to say a big shout out to the lovely Miss Vicky at Vicky's Country Garden. Tomorrow we're going to have her on the program at 9:30. Don't forget that. Vicky's Country Garden celebrating 21 years in business. How does your garden grow? Well, it grows better when you get all the advice and tips from Miss Vicky at Vicky's Country Garden. 185 South, 600 West of Paul. Number to call, 438-5663. Oh, my goodness sakes. Hope you had a great weekend. We had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Didn't do anything really outstanding except just sit around and enjoy the company of our family, etc. And hope you enjoyed the 5 days, if you had 5 days off. I took the Thursday off last week, and I want to say thank you to Gina Jameson. Wonderful, great friend for filling in for me. I appreciate that. Don't forget Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World with the best of all your ATVs. Yep, 0% financing on ATVs right now and all the watercraft. I mean, they've got it all for you in that showroom at Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4, with the best of all the accessories and a super service department to keep you running. Let's Ride. In Rupert area, you get over there because that's where the fun is sold. Let's go to the phone line right now and find out more about what's going on with the so-called celebrities that are on TV and the movies, etc. And one of the best people to tell us all about that, James Herson. James, good morning. How are you?
Great to be with you, Zeb. How are you?
Well, I'm great. You know, you have quite a few accolades behind your name. Media psychology, you're a best-selling author, you're a lawyer. Why in the world would you want to study some of the kind of desperate personalities of Hollywood? I mean, that goes without saying. That's not a real positive job, is it?
No. But here's why I do it. I'm involved in that industry. I work as an attorney in the industry, and so I know them. I know the players very well.
Yes.
Secondly, I believe that now the media is basically a gestalt. It's a whole. There's hardly a distinction between entertainment and information media, and that's why they concocted the term infotainment. And the same companies own the cable news, broadcast news, and the entertainment business. And we say the entertainment business, what we're talking about is movies, music, and what we used to call television, which includes streaming media and that sort of thing. When you put all that together, that is the most potent propaganda arm of the left that's ever existed. And now we have the big Silicon Valley digital companies going into that business and adding to this incredible mind-shaping that's going on. So I feel like, yes, it appears frivolous when I talk about, you know, what Madonna said, but when you look at the entertainment industry as a whole and you see the way it ties in, have you noticed, Jeff, that when there's a message from the left, that the late-night comics, the loudmouth celebrities, the programming on television, and the news media and Democrat politicians all mouth the same thing
Yes.
at the same time. And when you see that, then you see this cohesiveness, this lack of division, really. It's an illusion that the media is divided. It's actually one massive monolith.
Well, that's where I wanted to ask a question right there, James, and I thank you so much for laying out the groundwork for what we're talking about this morning. But is there a quarterback club, if you will, that gets together behind closed doors with a clandestine attitude of this is going to be the approach we're going to take on this political issue or that political issue? Like you said, it almost seems so well orchestrated. Who's pulling the strings?
Well, that's a very good question. Who is pulling the strings? And I'm not sure if it's a single group or individual, but we've asked that question for years when we look at the bias in the mainstream media. But we can see by data that this overwhelming percentage, over 90% of people in the news media are left of center, are biased left of center. And we see it manifested, and I know it to be a fact, in Hollywood. For example, Hollywood's money goes overwhelmingly only to one side. They have some perfunctory donations they'll give to, say, someone like a John McCain, but for the most part, they donate left. And so it also is a situation where they live in a bubble and people think alike. Look, we noticed that Jimmy Kimmel was out there sounding more like Rachel Maddow. He took away his comedy, and he was doing pontification and punditry on various subjects of political policy. And then we found out from reliable sources that he was getting talking points from the office of Minority Leader of the Senate, Chuck Schumer. Now, that's just one tiny example of coordination, but there are literally hundreds of them a day, and there's various organizations, and now with email and social media and the like, you can see the communication going across as there are trending topics generated by activists on Facebook and Twitter, for example. And these celebrities who express themselves publicly are all, most of them, I should say, are on the social media, and they communicate with each other. And so it may not be, an actual formal meeting or conference call, although they do occur depending on the group, but it's more along the lines of people who are motivated by in the case of Hollywood, they're motivated by their incredible hatred, denial of election loss, and kind of twisted up emotions that's been described as Trump derangement syndrome. And they get up each day searching their favorite website or their social media for some way to express that emotional outburst of the day. And it just so happens that what you can see are these patterns, that when the rent-a-mobs were out with the Women's March, the celebrities in Hollywood, the panels on MSNBC and CNN, and the content of late night, all were mouthing the same thing. We saw it again after the shooting tragedy in Parkland, Florida, when we had these massive marches. Those were ostensibly for gun violence, but they were for taking away the Second Amendment. Mm-hmm. And you saw the same pattern. And now, most recently, you saw it with the left's new messaging involving the border and the treatment of children. And as typical, distorting the facts, misreporting, and coming up with hashtag slogans that are way over the top.
Let me ask you this, and this is kind of a naive question looking from the outside in to your job that you write about and talk about every day. But just imagine, speculatively for a moment, if we had back with us the James Stewarts, or the Robert Mitchums, or the Clark Gables, or specifically the John Waynes. I don't think the attitude of Hollywood would be as liberal and slanted as it is today. Am I wrong?
No, actually, what you're describing is a completely different system, a different world that existed. You know, Hollywood was founded by people, they were from New York, they were immigrants. They absolutely loved America, and they wanted the entertainment industry to be patriotic, and they created a system where basically those that were involved in artistic work, including actors, were all under contract, very strict, controlled contracts, and they basically had a monopoly, because if you think of it, film, motion pictures were the sole source of entertainment for Americans and for the world. People didn't have television. They did have radio, but radio didn't compete really with the kind of visual excitement that could come from motion pictures. And these studios, these original studios, and were basically owners of the means of production and owners of the distribution. So they owned all the theaters, and that ended up being broken up by a landmark decision, an antitrust decision, broke it up. It's kind of hard to believe in today's world. And it changed slowly the face and the infrastructure of the motion pictures. And, of course, then television came in, and now in today's world we have digital streaming coming in. So what has happened is it's fragmented to a great extent, and the creative people have far greater power than they did back in what you're describing, like the Golden Age. And you're talking about people like Jimmy Stewart, Paul Newman, and we can mention, John Wayne, of course. And they were involved in the effort of this very noble, incredible effort of World War II to overcome a threat to the world. And Hollywood was making pro-United States and their allies films to counter the propaganda of Hitler and the Axis powers. And so, it was a different world. And then we can say, the cultural norms that existed in the world of Jimmy Stewart, and reflected by the kinds of movies he was in, were different, of course, because the notion of the definitions of traditional concepts of family, faith, patriotism, service to country were all intact. And today they've been diluted, they've been altered, and it's, of course, it's this battle that we have against the traditional left, and,
right.
And that's happening today.
Right. James, your article that you wrote about Seth Rogen, and I want you to give us a synopsis of that article, but one sentence really stood out and hit me in the reverse racism when Rogen said, his kids seemed lovely and very Caucasian. I know I'm going to the middle of the story first, but why is there, in my perception, such anti-white feelings coming from whites and Caucasians from Hollywood?
Well, it's a reflection. That's a very good question. And to me, it's a reflection of a number of other institutions in our country that have been infiltrated, if you will, with very sick ideas that are pushed by the left to destabilize and polarize our country. And one of those is we're seeing it in the academic world,
is this death wish for white people. I mean, we have a recent academic who publicly wished for genocide for Caucasians.
Mm-hmm.
We have it's beyond reverse racism. It is authorized hatred. And these notions of the phrases that are used, white privilege and, quote, toxic masculinity. This is a social restructuring attempt using ideas that are in and of themselves sick and twisted and racist and sexist, but they justify these ideas by using the notion that in order to rectify and create justice in the playing field, that it's okay to persecute those that are strong, and therefore it's okay to persecute Christians, Catholics, it's okay to persecute Caucasians, it's okay to persecute men, Southerners. I mean, we can just go on and on with these classifications, and so we see an intolerance toward certain groups of people and an overabundance of tolerance towards the favored groups. And all Seth Rogen, who is not a particularly intelligent man, not a particularly educated man, a spokesperson, basically he's dedicated his life to marijuana. He, twice in his appearance on Stephen Colbert, in meeting Speaker of the House Paul Ryan's kids, he made it a point. One time he said they were very white, which is in and of itself a racist statement. Imagine if he had described any other ethnic group and said they were very fill in the blank of the color.
Right.
He would have been castigated as a racist. But somehow the audience, Stephen Colbert, and the press think it's okay to say kids are very white. And what he was describing and bragging about was an encounter he had with Paul Ryan and his kids, where the kids came up to him and told him, "Hey, Mr. Rogen, my father's a fan of yours. Can he come over and meet you?" And then Rogen describes, it turned out their father was Paul Ryan. And Ryan had come over and shook his hand and said, can we do a picture of one of these selfies with you? And he brags to the audience on Colbert that he refused him and did it in a really nasty way, like saying, "No way, man," and then castigated Speaker Ryan in front of his kids for these supposed policies that Rogen was upset about. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But the audience then cheers, which is typical of these collective groups of MSNBC fans they put together for Colbert's show. But it was, and with the irony of this, Zeb, is that Seth Rogen is attempting in his mind to address this issue of how children were treated at the border, and then he shows absolute disregard for a family, for kids, and then brags about it, and is willing to inflict what could be psychological harm on Ryan's kids and insult the Speaker of the House. Now, look, I'm no fan of Paul Ryan these days, but he's the Speaker of the House, and Rogen was at a Republican event.
Yep.
And I think he felt guilty, in Hollywood's sense. Hey, wait a second. You attended a Republican event? So he was trying to send out signal to everyone, hey, I didn't take this serious. I'm not friends with these Republicans, because to be at a GOP event could harm his social calendar, and who knows, maybe when he goes to the marijuana dispensary, they wouldn't save his favorite bonbons for him. But it's amazing. It just was a lab example of the kind of inconsistencies the kind of incoherent thought that some of these left-wing celebrities have.
Let me ask you this final thought, James, and it goes back to almost the beginning of our interview. But is the word class, C-L-A-S-S, is that dead and dying in Hollywood? I mean, nobody really has any class anymore, and they're in the gutter the way they act and treat people?
You know, it's amazing. I would say, yes, you know, class is dead. But what I see in young people is a miracle. And that's what, you know, and I've taught undergraduates. I see it across the country. You know, thanks to families, thanks to communities that keep the important foundational principles and values alive, we have young people that are joining up our voluntary military, serving the nation, and we have young people, young actors like Chris Pratt is a good example of a young actor, and young musicians who bucked the trend. Look what's happening with Kanye West. And so I think, you know, class is something that lives even in a classless community because of families and churches and organizations that keep it alive. So it's not totally dead, but when it comes to the classy movie star, it's a rarity now, where it used to be that the people who were considered, and they used the term movie star, A-lister, they conducted themselves in such a way that they created an image that had a semblance of class. That's more rare than it used to be, of course, but it is alive.
Great. Listen, I really look forward to the days you're on this program. James Herson, media psychologist, author, attorney, the list goes on. A person that I really am thankful for being on this program. James Herson, God bless, and I'll look forward to the next time on the show.
God bless you, Zeb.
Thank you, sir. A really interesting guest that knows all about the ins and outs of what's happening in Hollywood. Thank you, James. Appreciate it very much. Right now, it's time for the weather, and the weather is brought to you by some really good friends of ours, and that's Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company that have been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. And I was talking to Lyden Crane the other day, and he sent me a note that there are big changes in the tax laws for this year, and you should become aware of the tax rates that have changed and the new deductions, and some of the old deductions have been changed. You'd better find out from the professionals, and that's Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. They've got offices in Burley and Rupert serving you, and make sure that you get a hold of them, make an appointment, and find out how they can better serve you, your family, and your business at Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Right now, old Scotty's got the weather.
Good morning. It is time now for your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron. It is going to be hot today. As a matter of fact, there is an excessive heat warning out. Be sure you stay hydrated and plenty of sunscreen. Today it's going to be a high of 98. Then for tonight, maybe a chance of thunderstorms, expecting a low of 65. For Tuesday, mostly sunny, a high of 92. Clear for Tuesday night, a low of 57. Then Wednesday, sunny and 91. Thursday, sunny and 93. Going to heat up towards the end of the week as well. Once again, stay hydrated and stay safe. It's going to be a hot one. That's your weather for 7 to 8.
Oh, my goodness sakes. Get the sunscreen out and, woo, stay in the shade. I'll tell you what. Well, then why get the sunscreen out? Anyway, don't forget our weather brought to you this hour by our friends at Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And believe me, they can and they will help you. Like I said, you better find out about all the different changes to the 2018 PATH Act with the changes in tax rates, etc. They can and they will help you at Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company with offices in Burley and Rupert. You make an appointment today. Oh, Oh, I've got time for a call or two. Give me a jingle on the landline at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Hot July. You know, everybody is all clamoring and going, oh my goodness, we're burning up. No, we're not burning up. If you will think back years that you've been on this earth, everybody had written songs or poems about hot July. Well, listen, that's where we're at right now. It's summertime, and the temperatures are going to be up there. We're going to be talking to a person that really understands temperatures and weather conditions far, far more than we do at 10:30 this morning, when we have, again, Gregory Wrightstone on this morning to talk with his book, Inconvenient Facts, the Science That Al Gore Doesn't Want You to Know. This man is so good. We've had him on the air many times in the past, and looking forward to our interview this morning. Want to remind you, too, about some folks that are the best at what they do, and that's Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. Can I say that again and not bite my lip? Employee benefits. There, it sounds and felt so much better. And they are dedicated and responsive to your needs. All you need to do is call them, make an appointment. They're there to serve you at 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Really, really good people. Okay, next hour at 10:06, we're going to have Michelle Owens, attorney Michelle Owens on, and she is the spokesperson for the Center for Prosecutor Integrity, and she's going to be talking about the Department of Justice. Is it really? That's going to be really interesting at 10:06. And then, like I said a few moments ago, at 10:32, we've got Gregory Wrightstone coming on talking about climate change and his book, Inconvenient Facts. So you don't want to miss that. People are probably questioning, Deanne, when the next lunch bunch is for July. And I've just made a decision that we're going to have it on July the 26th. It will be Thursday, July 26th, our next lunch bunch. So put that on your calendars, please, at 11:30 at Denny's. America's Diner, 611 North Overland in Burley. Lunch bunch on the 26th. Let me see what else have I got cooking here this morning that I need to announce. Tomorrow on the program, don't forget that we're going to be talking to the lovely Miss Vicky, and all of a sudden, my phone line went dead. And we're back. I have no idea what happened, but all of a sudden we heard a brrp, brrp, and then a cutoff, and evidently the phone companies thought that they wanted to play a little game and cut us off for a moment. So we're back on the air, and I just quickly want to tell you before I go to the news. Tomorrow on the show, we've got the lovely Miss Vicky with Vicky's Country Garden, Stoats Ag Minute. We're going to have Dr. History and Seth Coyne, all of those folks scheduled for tomorrow on our show. You don't want to miss a minute of it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now I will tell you that we're going to take a little break for about 7 minutes and go to the CBS News. I'll be back in just a moment. Oh, here we go. We made it this far. We might as well continue right to the very end this morning. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations say that if you're getting ready for a road trip, you better stop in and see them for the best of tires at your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. And don't forget some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Guess what's coming up on Friday and Saturday this week? Oh, the kickoff to the Oakley Pioneer Days 2018 with the world famous. Why, they're going to have planes landing at Oakley International Airport from all over the world to watch the bump and rub 4-cylinder car race. Friday at 6 p.m. they'll have the Calcutta racing at 7. Saturday racing at 6. Oh, this is going to be wild and woolly. It has been in the past. Woo! For more information or for entries into the car race, contact Jeff Yeck at 670-1055. Oakley's great big kickoff to Pioneer Days, the Bump and Rub 4-cylinder car race. And some of the great merchants over there that want you to come on over to Oakley and enjoy the Pioneer Days. Don't forget Smith's Cafe at 135 East Main in Oakley. Oh my goodness, open Monday to Saturday, 6:30 in the morning till all the customers go home. I'll tell you, they've got the great big burger over there and ice cold beer, pop and lemonade. Oh, it's the place to go. Smith's Cafe on East Main in Oakley. And Speaker of the House and Representative Scott Bedke, a rancher and, of course, serving the state of Idaho, welcomes you to the Oakley Pioneer Days, July 17th through the 21st, actually starting on the 13th with the Bump and Rub car race. And he wants you to celebrate the great big 131 years of family Western traditions at Oakley. Thank you, Speaker of the House, Scott Bedke. Right now, let's go to the phone line. And I really am looking forward to having this lady on my program this morning. And she is a spokesperson for the Center for Prosecutor Integrity and does a lot of radio, TV, and writes a lot for various publications. Good morning to attorney Michelle Owens. How are you?
I am great. Good morning to you.
Michelle, it's really a treat to have you on the air, and my question would be to kick things off this morning. The Department of Justice, are the scales tipping so far to the left that fairness is no longer a virtue?
Well, that's our fear. You know, it appears that organizations like the IRS, Department of Justice, organizations that should be neutral are becoming biased based on how you vote. That you're being treated differently because of how you vote. I mean, we saw all the Tea Party members who had all the audits, you know, and that's kind of a recurrent theme that is occurring and continuing, and we are concerned about it because you need to know that the Department of Justice and other organizations are neutral, that they are fact finders. They're neutral. They're not biased one way or the other.
Let me ask you this, Michelle, and you are the person that would know the answer to this question, even though it's a little vague. But if I took the place of Hillary Clinton and had dabbled in and was involved in all the extracurricular activities that she was involved in over the last 5 to 8 to 15 years, wouldn't that draw a lot of interest from the Department of Justice to where they would pursue investigation?
Well, I can tell you that the answer is yes, and it would have gotten cut off way before you got to the Department of Justice, because at the same time the email situation was going on with Hillary Clinton, I had a client that I was representing before a professional organization that did some work that had a high security clearance, and he had very accidentally, put an email onto a server that was not protected, like a Dropbox, and it was clearly accident. Nothing bad happened out of it. You know, no harm, no foul. But he lost his security clearance because of it. And you have Hillary Clinton, who did all of this, intentionally. Even if it wasn't intentionally, it was thousands of emails. If she claimed it wasn't. And she didn't even lose her security clearance. And I was livid when that was going on, because my poor, regular citizen guy over here is losing his ability to make a living and having to find a different area of work because of his one mistake. And she gets nothing. So, yeah, you absolutely are treated differently because of who you are. But, that probably has as much to do with wealth as it does, the political side of the aisle that you're on. And that's a whole other issue that we have.
Well, Michelle, let me pursue what you said just a moment ago, the regular citizen. Why aren't the regular citizens like myself and all my listeners and everybody across the United States, why aren't they outraged that the law doesn't better serve and represent the regular citizen and lets the people that are of the wealthy and the famous and in politics, let them basically slide without any punishment?
Well, I think the people who understand that that's happening are outraged, but they don't know what to do about it. And I think a lot of people don't know. And that's one thing that we're trying to do with the Center for Prosecutor Integrity is let people know what's going on. Let people know that, with the DOJ, there was a grant given out to an organization that goes against the Constitution. And I don't even know if the DOJ knows it. Some people say, it depends on how much of a conspiracy theorist you are. But I know that the DOJ gives out a lot of grants. There's a lot of money, and sometimes you don't read closely into what an organization does that you're giving money to. But we've done the research, and this organization called End Violence Against Women International started the program Believe the Victim, and the Believe the Victim regarding sexual assault, and that Believe the Victim program tells you to apply due process incorrectly, to not use it, to assume that the individual who tells you they were assaulted is telling the truth, and therefore you have a presumption of guilt going in. That's against the Constitution. So therefore, that organization should not be receiving grants from our Department of Justice.
Absolutely.
And that's the kind of thing that nobody knows about unless we educate people about it. And that's what we're trying to do.
Absolutely. I want to ask you some questions about the Trump and Russia investigation and the absolute waste of money so far after a year and 3-4 months, the Mueller investigation, and it seems like it's spread like a peacock with its feathers wider and wider, and it's really not learning anything. What's going to happen here? Enough is enough.
Well, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's ridiculous. And we should all be throwing up our hands saying this is ridiculous. And maybe, the more education that there is out there about this, maybe the more people will stand up and say something. And, what do? Well, contact your state representative. Let them know how fed up you are. That's one thing I hear a lot of is we don't know what to do. Because I work with organizations and we're trying to stop this injustice on campus. On college campuses regarding sexual assault and falsely accused males. And one thing you can do is let your political entities know in your state that you're unhappy with what's going on, because they are elected individuals and they do care what voters think. But, as far as, what's going to happen, I have no idea. I mean, as my grandmother said, we're all going to hell in a handbasket.
Well, your grandmother was right, I'm afraid. I want to ask you if you would please, for my audience, in case someone is not aware as to what's going on with the Me Too movement and the hatred against the white male in our society, give me kind of a primer course as to what people should know about the Me Too movement and where this thing is going.
Yeah, that's kind of my baby, so to speak. What's happening is that on college campuses across the country, and it's spread into the mainstream, there is a rash of women saying they've been assaulted sexually by men. Some women really have been assaulted. There are assaults. I'm a woman. I have a daughter. Obviously, I have a vested interest in protecting women. But there are women who are lying about it, who have buyer's remorse, who are drunk and do something that they wish they hadn't, but they consented at the time, and they are calling that sexual assault, and they're being taught that it's sexual assault through organizations funded by groups like End Violence Against Women International, called Believe the Victim. They are taught. They literally give programs and teaching classes on campuses that teach women, if this happened to you, then you were assaulted. And it's basically, if you had an unhappy sexual experience, it might have been sexual assault. And these men are being accused of this. And what people need to understand is that when you hear a man was accused of sexual assault on a college campus, or anywhere for that matter, don't believe everything you hear. Because a lot of times what they don't tell you is that this assault came 8 months after the fact, and that couple continues to have a relationship. They're falling up until that point. So basically, I've had cases where, 6 months ago, there was the woman says that she was assaulted or raped by this man, but she has had a sexual interaction with him about 11 more times after that, including up until the week before she filed the complaint. So it doesn't make sense. If you're sexually assaulted, you don't go back for more. So there's a disconnect in what we are calling sexual assault. And it's basically women are being taught that if you have a bad sexual experience or if you didn't feel comfortable later and you regret it, then you can complain about it. And you can file a complaint against the man. And it's horrific because the guy, if he's in college, he'll get expelled from school, and then he can't get into another school. If he's in the workplace, we see what's happened with all of these allegations that have happened to public people lately. Some of them are true, but some of them aren't. And that's what you need to understand. Everybody needs to look at things on a case-by-case basis and not assume that what you hear is the whole truth. Because if you hear the whole truth, it changes the story quite a bit.
Yeah, but I'm going to say it that way. Yeah, but, Michelle, once the woman's voice has been heard on any radio station, TV station, or in any print form, the guy has no hope of equal justice as far as I'm concerned.
Well, right. You can't unring a bell. I mean, that's the main saying in the legal world. You know, you can't unring the bell. You can tell, it's like the Duke lacrosse players. They were innocent. They were, totally exonerated. But when you hear Duke and lacrosse, you think of rape. And then you go, oh, wait, that didn't really happen. That was a mistake. And it ruined those guys' lives. So you can't unring the bell. You can't unring the bell, and you cannot have an equal situation with that.
What's it going to take, in your opinion, to basically restore sanity and integrity to the Department of Justice and the people that work there?
Well, I think that change has got to come from the top. And I think that there are a lot of people who are recognizing that change is needed, and they're working towards that. There are a lot of good people at the DOJ. And a lot of people who may not know what's going on. And maybe it just takes a little bit more fine-combing over grants that are given out. Maybe it takes a little bit more oversight for the general American public to watch what's going on. But I think education is always the way. Getting the word out, letting people know this is what we need to look for. Look at what the DOJ is doing. Look and see who they're funding and where their money goes and what's going on. And if you don't like it, speak out. You have that right. We're still in America so far. We're still a democracy. And you can speak out and let your opinion be made known to your state representative. And that makes a difference.
Michelle, I can't let you go without asking this question. You and I were on the air one time before talking about Title IX cases, and I just recently heard, and I'll give a real quick synopsis, I just really heard back in the state of Connecticut, I believe, that at a track meet, some transgender boys ended up winning all the women's events for the state titles, and this is the ruination of not only Title IX, but women's sports in general for the future, because this has got to stop, and like Texas said, they will compete under their given birth gender or they won't compete. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think that it is just a big mess. That's what I really think. And I think when you have... That's just a really hard question. I tend to agree with what Texas is saying, that you're going to compete under your given birth gender, because I think there's a reason that we separate men and women in categories, because physically women and men have different strengths.
Right.
But, that's just such a loaded question, because there are a lot I used to be a medical social worker, and I know a lot of people are born where they're genetically one sex and are raised as another. So that's a really tough question. And I can see, some women that are just regular women beating the crap out of men who are actually men because they're just plain stronger and bigger. So I think one way to do it is to say that you're going to compete under the sex that you were assigned at birth, but that's going to cause so much backlash, and you're going to be called, homophobe, and all. It's going to create a whole whirlwind of problems. But I don't think it's fair if people are not equally matched, and I think that's what happened. I mean, when you have gender reassigned people that win all the events, then, clearly something's going on.
But you can't ever have a professional and an attitude of achievement when the record books really are tainted because you don't know who won what under what gender.
Right, I agree. And I don't really know what the answer is to that. I'm glad that I'm not the one making the decision.
Well, Michelle, I appreciate you being on the program as always, and appreciate your candor on all these issues. God bless you for being on the program. A spokesperson for the Center for Prosecutor Integrity, Attorney Michelle Owens. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Great lady. I'm going to have her back more often. She's very, very well spoken on what's going on with the issues of today. Thank you very much. I'd sure like to hear a call right now. I'd love to have somebody give me a call and talk about some of the things that we've talked about earlier this morning, some of the stories, anything you want. Give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call that I just know is coming in, don't forget on Thursday we have a special segment called Cassia County School Days, and our two sponsors are A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley, and don't forget summer clothes. All summer clothes are 25% off, and if you spend $25 you get to choose a free book. They've got all the furniture over there. Caller, I'll be right there along with all of the baby clothing, everything. You stop in and check it out at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. And also our other sponsor, the Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland in Burley. And the number to call and find out how they can save you money on your outpatient surgery, 677-8888. Don't forget, check it out today. Ambulatory Surgery Center and A Child's World, bringing you School Days in Cassia County on Thursdays at 10:10. Caller, thank you. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. I got something on my mind, and it's probably the millions out there have the same thing. Why is it President Trump can't tell Mueller, clean out your desk and leave town by morning? This is what I can't understand.
Well, I think that the hurdle at the end of the race right there is the backlash that's going to be perceived and or given out by the Democrats and the liberals that say, oh, he's just nothing more than a dictator and he's trying to run everything his way and he won't even be a part of an investigation. He's going to be kind of the dictatorship is going to rule and persevere. I'm really worried about somebody canceling an investigation, but on the other hand, I see no merit to this investigation.
Well, the thing of it is the cost of this investigation.
Absolutely.
It should be some kind of a concern for terminating this thing.
Yeah, but your words should be somewhat of a concern. Let me ask you something. In all the years that you've been on the face of God's great earth, has any politician ever been concerned about the cost of anything?
Oh, absolutely not.
Well, that's what I'm worried about today. Nobody is concerned about your pocket or my pocketbook and our billfolds, etc. I'm fed up with the whole political mess. I have no respect for people that go back to Washington, D.C. and are so frivolously stupid as to what that needs to be done for their constituents to make America stronger and better. All they're concerned about is, well, let's spend money on a hamster rotation and see how fast they can get their little wheel going. It's stupid and ridiculous.
Well, I think we got some billions and billions of dollars behind this movement. Maybe George Soros is the number one instigator.
Well, I don't know if he's number one, but I'll say he's in the top 5. And I have no trusting of what's going on behind the scenes to tweak and turn the wheels of the Democratic and the Liberal parties. I'll tell you what, I'm very concerned, Tony.
Well, I hope what we got going for governor over there doesn't go the way some people suspect it might go.
We can't let it. Thank you, Tony. God bless you.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much. Caller, quickly, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning again. You know, I've got a little trivia question for you. Who do you think was the parent company of Allstate Insurance?
I wouldn't have a clue.
Sears and Roebuck.
Oh.
And
yeah, I do remember that. I do remember that.
did you ever see an Allstate scooter?
No.
Yeah, that might have been a little bit before your time, but they sold a lot of that kind of stuff.
And it was called an Allstate scooter, is that right?
That is correct. If you ever find one, you might want to hang on to it.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll go out and start looking this afternoon.
You know, another company that's no longer in business anymore is Montgomery Ward's. And they used to have the David Bradley.
You know, and I got to tell you something. Keith, real quick. You mentioned these companies, Sears and Roebuck, and what was the other one you just said? It slipped my mind. Montgomery Ward. I used to, when I was a little boy, I used to absolutely love going through their Christmas catalogs. That was something of the past that we don't have anymore.
That's right, and you could buy a wagon. You know, a trailer, 4 wheels that you pull like a hay wagon.
Yeah.
You know, and all those things were sold through Sears and Montgomery Ward's.
Remember, they had the American Flyers, and then you'd go through all the catalogs, and they'd have all the stuff for the Lone Ranger and everything. I really did enjoy those Christmas catalogs.
Yeah, but it was, you know, what brought it up as I was watching this commercial, they were telling about 10,000 Allstate agents ride motorcycles, and I just got to thinking about that, Allstate, and it reminds me, I think it was about 1958 when they started that company. It was this kind of a startup thing, and you had Safeco, you had Farmers, and you had State Farm, and all these were the giants in the industry.
Yeah, that's true.
They said it ain't going to happen, but it did.
Yep. Well, Keith, I've got to run to a break, but thank you for that little bit of trivia. I'll keep looking for that scooter out in my garage.
Well, it won't be coming from me, I'll guarantee you that.
Have a good day, sir. Thank you. All right. We're going to send it back over to Wheels at our main studio and come back with Gregory Wrightstone in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, thank you very much and welcome back. I saved, I think, the best for last on this program this morning because I've had this gentleman on my program before. He has written an outstanding book called Inconvenient Facts, the science that Al Gore doesn't want you to know. And we say a good morning again to the author of this book, Gregory Wrightstone. Gregory, how are you this morning?
Outstanding. Thanks for having me on. How are things out your way?
You know, just wonderful, but you know, like it's July, and I'm an old man. I can remember the ice cream running all over everybody on the 4th of July, and the hot temperatures, and the laying on the side of the hill back in a park in Wisconsin where I brought up and was raised watching the fireworks, and we'd sweat till midnight. Why are people so cognizant today, maybe in a right way or a wrong way, about warmer temperatures and think the Chicken Little theory of the sky is falling?
Really? I mean, it's summer. It's supposed to be hot.
That's right.
And you really, if we look at it, and granted, we're in a warming trend, but it's only warmed up about 1.5 degrees over the last 150 years. if you think about it, in your lifetime, that's almost indistinguishable from what it was when you were 3 years old or 8 years old or whatever from what it is today. So, yeah, this is, we've had late season snowstorms in Europe and Newfoundland, and that just happened in June here, both of those places.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, I want to talk to you about your book. Your book is an excellent book, and I want to compliment you up front, the book called Inconvenient Facts. And you, in very simple terminology, anyone can understand this book. If I can, anybody can. And you really go into the various questions about whether climate change or global warming is really happening. You talk about CO2 and humankind. That was one of my favorite chapters, because why is CO2, in your opinion, getting such a bad rap?
Well, it's they need to demonize CO2. If you look at all the big protests we're having, anti-pipeline, anti-fossil fuels, anti-fracking, global warming is going to kill us all. All these things relate, they all trace back to increases of CO2. And what's CO2 related to? It's burning of fossil fuels for the most part. And this is really, I think, and what are you going to do to knock the United States and the Western world down? Decrease their energy consumption, make energy more expensive, and these things. I think really it can be traced to really an anti-capitalist agenda that's being pushed by the far left extremists.
Gregory, let me ask you a question right there. You make a really, really good point to push the United States down and turn us almost into a third world country. My question would be at that juncture, who's pulling the purse strings? Who's pulling the puppet strings? Who's in control to try to demean and adjust what the United States is and what it can be?
Well, I think it's the same people that want to do this one world government. I mean, it sounds like we should be wearing a tinfoil hat when we talk about this, but it's large governments. We've got this intergovernmental panel on climate change now, the IPCC, put together by nearly every planet on the Earth, that's pushing this climate alarmist agenda. I'm not sure. We talked before. I opened the book up with a quote from H.L. Mencken, who warned us of governments and institutions like the IPCC that want to impose, they create these imaginary hobgoblins of alarm, which they use to frighten the population. And you need to frighten and scare the population enough that they'll gladly accept stupid, onerous, and painful regulations like the Paris Climate Accord. If you're frightened enough and we're going to destroy the planet, well, you've got a lot of people on board with doing whatever it takes to stop that. Where, again, as we've talked before, you know where I come from on all this. I see that rising temperatures and increasing CO2 are benefiting the Earth and humanity.
Absolutely.
It's not even close. It's I'll be speaking next week, or actually this Wednesday, at the Eagle Forum Summit, to their Collegian Summit, concerning that. And the title of the talk is just that. How rising temperatures and increasing CO2 are benefiting the Earth and humanity.
Absolutely.
So I'm looking forward to speaking here on Wednesday to several hundred of these young conservatives in Washington, D.C., and then the following week down in Houston, I'll be traveling down there to a large convention. So I'm trying to get the word out and try and push back on this fake news of catastrophic human-caused warming, because it's not primarily human-caused, and it's not going to be catastrophic. We're seeing an Earth that's flourishing, that's benefiting, that's greening, and prospering because of increasing CO2 and temperature.
Absolutely. I have read your book and highlighted your book, and I've got every page dog-eared with notes on it and everything, but the one part of the book that I want you to elaborate on that really I think would be a stick in the eye to the liberals and the Democrats that say 97% of all scientists agree, Inconvenient Fact 31. Science is not consensus, and consensus is not science. Boy, I want you to tear that one apart.
Boy, oh boy, yeah, that's actually a rewording of what Michael Crichton had said in a wonderful
speech that he gave on this subject. He wrote the great book Climate of Fear, and I'd recommend that to your listeners. He's since deceased, but that was from him. Yeah, the 97% consensus we hear quite a bit about. It comes from a paper written by John Cook and his merry band of climate alarmists. It was a study that they looked at, I believe it was 12,000 papers, and determined whether or not the authors of that paper believed that, according to them, humans were causing primarily the bulk of the warming, and would it lead to catastrophic consequences? And they concluded that 97%. Well, right off the top, there were almost 7,000 papers that didn't address that at all. So right now we're down to like 32% of all the papers. Plus, they cast a very wide net. Their definition of somebody that's subscribed to this, what they call the consensus opinion, would include me. And that's because I believe that increasing CO2 is due to man, and increasing CO2 has to have a warming effect on the atmosphere. It just does. I, though, would argue that it's very modest and greatly overwhelmed by the same natural forces that have been driving temperatures up and down since the dawn of time. Those same forces didn't suddenly cease at the beginning of the 20th century, like Al Gore and Michael Mann want you to believe. So, yeah, the 97% consensus, I would be part of it, according to their definition. And I got to tell you, I'm going to Houston speaking in front of 4,500 scientists. I'll be their featured breakfast speaker down there. And where I've spoken to scientists, I have been very warmly received. I can count on one hand my fellow geologists that really disagree with what I have to say. Although it's difficult for many of them to stand up and talk about it because, as we've talked before, it's what I call the non-scientist problem, that you just don't have all the facts and details, and everything's so confusing and contradictory that unless you're really a deep climate geek and scientist like I am, it's hard to confidently discuss this. And that's why last time I was on your show, and I've given out my information concerning the PowerPoint. If any of your listeners want to get a PowerPoint of the top 25 figures in the book, they can go to my website, inconvenientfacts.xyz, and hit the subscribe button, and I'll send them a link. And that's I've seen that used on Facebook. I've seen it on LinkedIn. That way your listeners can be empowered with actual science, facts, and data.
I've got to ask you, Gregory, you just made a comment that you're going to be speaking in Houston and to other scientists, and that you'll be warmly received. Were the last words warmly received? Was that kind of a tongue-in-cheek approach to your speech?
Yeah, I didn't know. That was completely unintentional. But it will be. If you're in Houston in July, it's going to be hot.
That's right.
So, yeah. But nothing untoward there. It gets hot it's been hot in Houston for thousands of years, and it's not going to change because of a degree of warming over the last 150 years.
In your book, and another segment that really struck at me when I read the book was a comment by Ross Gelbspan of the Boston Globe op-ed, August 30th of 2005, and it talks about tragedies being linked to and being politicized by the left. The quote was, "The hurricane that struck Louisiana yesterday was nicknamed Katrina by the National Weather Service. Its real name is global warming." It seems like the left will attach climate change and global warming to almost anything, won't they?
Yes, they will. And hurricanes are not, we could argue pretty strongly that there has been a decrease in hurricanes over the last 150 years. In fact, I have a chart, a study from the University of Mexico City, showing just that, a strong decline in hurricanes for the last 150 years that they studied. Even the IPCC, who's not averse to making wildly questionable claims, the IPCC even states that there has been no linkage between warming and hurricanes. So no, that and tornadoes, in fact, have been definitely declining. So these severe storms in many cases, are declining rather than increasing. 2016 ended up with the second lowest number of tornadoes in the United States, followed by the highest, or the lowest number was 2013. So here in just the last several years, we have the lowest and second lowest number of tornadoes in the United States. So yeah, we see no correlation at all, and probably a pretty strong linkage with a lessening. Because last year we had three major hurricanes make landfall in the United States, which seemed like a lot, and it's above normal, but we had just gone through 12 years, the longest period ever since 1850, that no major hurricanes have made landfall in the United States. So we've been in a very quiescent period for especially the large hurricanes, Category 3 or above. So we've been blessed in that regard. And I'm doing a study right now. I'm looking into the linkage. We're exploring. I'll share this with you when it comes to tornadoes. The heat island effect. There is human-caused global warming, and a lot of it. And I'll tell you where it is. It's in cities and towns from the heat island effect, we call it. Mm-hmm. So we have much increased temperatures. And we're exploring the possibility of actually tornadoes because of the heat island effect. The tornadoes are lifted off. They don't strike the cities, the large cities, because of that effect. So it's really preliminary right now. Probably shouldn't have mentioned anything about it, but there might be, we get the linkage together, there might be a really interesting correlation between actual human-caused global warming due to heat island effect and saving many, many lives from tornadoes striking large cities.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a question. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air, please.
Zeb, a question for your guest is, isn't it a great benefit to have more CO2 that people are complaining about, which is beneficial to feeding people that are starving in the world as far as crops production goes, food production and everything?
I'll have him answer that on the air, caller. Go ahead. Gregory, if you would, please.
Absolutely. Good comment and good question. Your caller is absolutely right that CO2 increasing is benefiting the earth by what we call the CO2 fertilization effect. In the book, I have a chart there showing what the effects of a 300 part per million increase would be, and it shows the crops that represent 95% of the world's food production, and then we would see a 46% increase in crop production with a 300 part per million increase. That's incredible. With that, we could feed the poor, the hungry. That's a good thing. It's a real untold story. But the increasing CO2 doesn't just stop there with promoting plant growth. One of its biggest effects that we see across the earth is that plants need less water with higher CO2 because they're pores that are on the underside of the plant leaf, the stomata. They don't have to breathe in. They're smaller. They're not breathing in and out as much. They're not using or losing as much water, so they're not sucking water out of the ground. So the ground retains its moisture, and that's leading to the combination of CO2 fertilization and the ability of plants to need less water is leading to a greening of the earth. We see that up to 50% of the earth is what they call greening. This is NASA that says this. It's not just Greg. It's NASA scientists and work. And only 4%, according to NASA, is what they call browning or losing vegetation. Well, that's a pretty good trade-off. Too bad if you're in that 4% area, but it'd be too bad for you. But the earth as a whole is benefiting greatly from this increase in CO2. So yeah, we're feeding the poor and the hungry.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, inconvenient fact number 28 in your book kind of is a complete synopsis of everything we've talked about already this morning. Quote, for human advancement, warmer is better than colder. Simplified, but that's the way it is.
Absolutely, and I've been writing opinion pieces now. I've been knocking them out. I just finished one this morning Actually, I finished up 2, but the one I just finished was on the pending and looming next ice age, and how horrific it's going to be. Because, as you mentioned, there's a strong relationship in history over the last several thousand years of the rise and fall of temperatures and the rise and fall of civilizations. It's fascinating, and that when you're in a warm period, if you were Emperor Zeb, in a warm period, you could feed your subjects. Everybody be fat and happy. You don't have to worry about how you're going to feed your family tomorrow. But if you're Emperor Zed and you're going into a cooling period and your crops fail, and now you can't feed your subjects, well, you're not going to be Emperor Zeb for much longer, probably. And that's what we see. We see crop failure, famine. We see the people rise up with riots, food riots. And actually, one interesting fact is that during the witch hunts, during the Little Ice Age, both Europe and in America revolved around crop failure due to climate, due to cooling climate. It was too cool, not too warm. So you might like the idea of Emperor Zed, but you better make sure you're in a warm period if you're going to do that, Zeb.
No, as a matter of fact, I'm going to abdicate the title over to you, if you don't mind. But I would like to ask you this quickly. Inconvenient Facts. I urge people to read this book. I found it a must-read, and like I said, I've dog-eared the book. I've got it all highlighted, etc. Gregory, where can people find this book?
Yeah, inconvenientfacts.xyz is my website. You can buy it there, $5 off at that website. I encourage people to do that, and they can get my hit the subscribe button, or you can buy. It's all obviously available Barnes and Noble, Amazon. It's in Barnes and Noble brick and mortar stores. So yeah, I'd encourage your listeners to go get it and arm themselves with the facts. There's a lot in there to glean from.
Let me ask you a follow-up on this book. Are you considering another book of another explanatory nature about climate change and or global warming?
Did I copy you on my email to my PR guy this morning? Because I just was emailing him about that. We're taking a family vacation here at the end of August to Costa Rica.
Okay.
And I think I'm planning to get started on the next one here pretty shortly.
Absolutely.
I've got some ideas on this. It'll be similar in vein. There were some things in the book that I didn't, that I should have had in the book that I didn't, that I really feel badly about now in hindsight, but you can't have everything. So yeah, and fully explore some more of these, what I call the climate apocalypse events.
Absolutely.
You can catch my opinion pieces on my blog at the inconvenientfacts.xyz website. I think you'll find some of them fascinating. I've got one there, why the Pope has it absolutely backwards on climate change. I've got another one there that's I love carbon dioxide and you should too. They're not long reads, and we've been picked up by some of the major websites that lots of people go to. In fact, my last one was picked up by Ben Shapiro's group on his website there. So we're getting the word out, and thanks to you, Zeb, for promoting it. I my heartfelt thanks to you for people like you promoting me and the book. It's important to get these inconvenient facts out to the population.
Absolutely.
And let them hear things that they don't hear otherwise in the media.
I want to say a big thank you to this gentleman, Gregory Wrightstone, the author of Inconvenient Facts, the science that Al Gore doesn't want you to know. Thank you. God bless, and please come back soon.
Thanks, Zeb.
All right,
Have
sir.
A good day.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
I will, sir. Thank you very, very much. Excellent book, and it tells the truth about what's going on with supposed climate change. Oh, my goodness, we've got to get a weather on here. Wheels is sitting there going, Zeb. Yes, we've got to talk about Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. Oh, they've got all the marinated pork ribs. Oh, it's barbecue time outside, St. Louis style. Most of the bones are removed. And, of course, they've got barbecue packages for $99 with tri-tips. Oh, my goodness, it's absolutely phenomenal. Check all of these delicious meats and the different packages for your barbecuing at Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number, 324-7657. Right now, here's old Scotty with the weather.
Good morning. It is time now for your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron. It is going to be hot today. As a matter of fact, there is an excessive heat warning out. Be sure you stay hydrated and plenty of sunscreen. Today it's going to be a high of 98. Then for tonight, maybe a chance of thunderstorms, expecting a low of 65. For Tuesday, mostly sunny, a high of 92. Clear for Tuesday night, a low of 57. Then Wednesday, sunny and 91. Thursday, sunny and 93. Going to heat up towards the end of the week as well. Once again, stay hydrated and stay safe. It's going to be a hot one. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Scotty Cameron.
Scotty doing a great job for us. Thank you. Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, with Don Scarrow and the crew. Oh, delicious meats for your barbecues this summer. Absolutely phenomenal. And it's easy to get a hold of them, too. 331 North Road, Jerome, or call 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Wow, this program went really, really fast this morning, and I thank all the people with their calls, all the great guests and everything. Thank you. And I also want to say a big shout-out and a thank you to our major sponsor, and that's our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, yeah, if you're getting ready for a road trip, maybe you're going to go see Aunt Martha and Uncle Fred, or maybe you're going to go back east and go to a Chicago Cubs game. Whatever you're going to do, don't forget the best in tires at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh my goodness, for your car, your pickup, your SUV, all your trailers, they've got the tires that'll get you to point B safely and then turn around and come back home. There you go. Stop in and see them today for also the best in brake service and front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this and more with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley, the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Holy moly, I'm out of time. We're going to be back here tomorrow morning, saddle the horse at 8:06 and ride for 3 hours on Zeb at the Ranch. And we're right here on K-Bar, 12:30 a.m., and then streaming live on the internet, zebbell.com. Woo! Have a great day, and we always end the program by saying this: the way things were are the way things ought to be. God bless. Have a good day.